So the lovely people at Focus lent us a Jam2 6.9 and a Jam2 SL9. Steve and I took them out on the trail. Stay tuned to see what we thought. Hi folks, I'm Jason and welcome to ebike-centre. Today I'm here with the ebike-centre's founding father, Hello. Mr. Steve Mitchell.
Hello.
It is a glorious October day, far hotter than it should be, but it is wonderful for riding. So we're out on the South Downs, and with us we've got two wonderful bikes as well. We have got the Jam 6.9 on our right there, so the latest version. It's got the 750 watt-hour Bosch battery, 85 Newton meter Bosch Performance Line CX motor. It's all set up with a smart system, all the bells and whistles, Kashima coat, the works. It's a seriously nice bit of kit. Aluminium frame, and then to our left we have got Focus Jam2. So this is the SL edition, so the lightest weight version, running the Fazua 60 Newton meter motor along with a 430 watt-hour battery. Again, this is very much top of the tree stuff. It's got all of the kit, XO1 gearing, it's got Kashima coat forks, carbon frame, a very nice bike indeed. So we're going to take these out on the trails and we'll let you know what we think. Stay tuned. To start, we'll talk about the full fat Jam in this case, so the Jam2 6.9. So the Jam has been a staple bike for us for a few years now. It's been a firm favourite, and when this bike came out I was quite intrigued, to be fair, because we loved the old bike and we thought, well, they've stuck a much bigger battery in it this time round. How is that going to make the characteristics change? I was a little bit concerned that with this 750 watt-hour battery that they've now fitted, the bike would be heavier and more sluggish. We chucked it on the scales and it tipped the scales at 25 kilos, which is pretty standard full power sort of alloy e-bike sort of terrain. So that was pretty normal. And then when we got out on the trail, I'll get my words right, got out on the trail itself, we were really pleasantly surprised. The bike, I'd actually say, is an improvement on the old bike, which you'd kind of hope for with every evolution of a bike. But given the extra weight, I was a bit apprehensive. But no, it was definitely an improvement. It was great fun to ride as a whole. Like, don't get me wrong, I love e-bikes, so it's going to be fun. But it was really good. It was very responsive, much more responsive than I thought it was going to be. Very planted, very predictable. It was nice and responsive on the sort of tight, twisty turns. So overall, really pleased with the bike. We were very lucky that we've been given the Jam2 6.9, so that is top of the tree stuff for the alloy bikes. So yeah, it did have the most plush forks. It had the best gearing, but you can tell from the frame itself and how the riding geometry was sort of set up that whether you go for the entry level or the 6.9, you're going to have a really nice riding bike. And if you went for the more entry level side of things, you can always look to improve the bike with some upgrades over time. So you don't need to go for the top end one. Obviously, it is really nice, but as a whole, the frame is brilliant. And the new smart system obviously has made some improvements on the predecessor. One thing I wasn't as big a fan on, and this is nothing to do with Focus, this is more of a Bosch criticism, which is, and I say it's a criticism, it's more my personal preference. The remote control on the new smart system, the standard one, I find a bit too cumbersome. There's too many buttons on it. It's a bit overcomplicated. You can end up pressing the wrong buttons on the trail because it's a bit fiddly. I would rather have something much more simplistic that literally has a rocker switch that is up and down for modes, and maybe something to one side so you can scroll through the modes. That's what I prefer, because it's easier to know where you are when you're instinctively, rather than having to you don't want to be looking over there. But anyway, that's a side point. Overall, yeah, two big thumbs up for that bike. Really, really enjoyed it. So folks, Tobes and I went through our stats the other day, and what was quite subscribing? Oh, very good.
That's the problem, there's
no subscribing. There's no subscribing, that's the issue. What was quite surprising is that 95.6% of the people that watch these videos don't subscribe. Like, subscribe. So on the other hand, we had the Jam2 SL, and we got given the 9, so that was very much top of the tree stuff. It's an inexpensive bike. It's a very nice bike, obviously. I didn't know what to expect. I enjoyed it way more than I was expecting to be fair. I thought I'd really enjoy it, and I did, but it was even better than my expectations. The bike is much lighter than the full fat equivalent, so the lightest version which we had comes in at 17.9 kilos. The next model down is 19 kilos. It is significantly lighter than the full fat equivalent, but it does come at the expense of obviously battery size and motor power. So it has got the Fazua Ride 60 motor in there, which is 60 Newton meters versus the 85 Newton meter Bosch CX motor that's in the full fat version. Where we were riding it, we didn't notice as much of a difference between the power, to be fair. I'll come more into that later, but overall, it was a really, really nice handling bike for the terrain that we were using. So it was more trail, not quite as burly as some areas. It's not Bike Park Wales or anything more strenuous. We're up on the South Downs. It's nice riding territory, but it's not the most demanding. But it suited the bike perfectly. It really shone. It was maneuverable. It felt much more like a normal bike and less e-bike, but with the benefit of all that extra oomph for the hills. So it just gave you a little bit more, and I've mentioned this before, particularly like with those that saw the Fuel EXE video that I did. It just gave you more fun because you could cover more ground and you get more descents, you get more climbs, and the climbs are fun because you've got that bit of power in there. And it fits into a different category to the full fat bikes, and it gives you a totally different riding experience. But we'll go into more of that in depth in a moment. Oh, one other thing that I didn't mention, the Fazua has got I think they call it the ring remote system on their bikes. In theory, it should be a nice simplistic toggle system that I was describing before that should suit me perfectly. To be honest, I found it a little bit flimsy. Yeah, it just didn't have the engagement feel that I'd like. It didn't have a definitive click into place that I would have liked. And there are times when you think you've pushed it up or down and you haven't. So yeah, I would say unfortunately there's a little bit of a criticism for the Fazua system as a whole. Don't get me wrong, it works and you soon get used to it, but it could be better, let's say.
For the drop down.
It is.
Was it?
Well, I've got little legs than you. That's better. Look at that. So we finished our first ride out on this bloody car. Start again.
And a nut just fell on me.
It's going well. So we finished our first ride on our pair of jams. It's been fun, it's been fantastic, it's been an incredible day outside. To have weather like this in October is probably not right, but it's been great fun nonetheless. So Steve, what were your first impressions of the jams?
Well, for me, it was a fantastic ride. I really enjoyed riding around this area. I think for this area, I really like the standard jam with a full fat motor. 85 Newton meters gets you out of trouble whenever you need it to. But for this area, I feel that the SL really kind of sings because you don't necessarily need all that gumph. And it hits the lip of the jump, the climbs. It just shone for me personally. What do you think?
Yeah, to be fair, I'd agree entirely with you. It's kind of reinforced to me that I'm probably more of a mid-powered e-bike fan than a full-powered fan. The standard jam is an excellent bike. It rides really nicely, it's really secure, it's really stable. You know where you stand with it. But as Steve says, for the South Downs, it's not Bike Park Wales, it's slightly, yes, it's nothing like as strenuous as that. So this fits really perfectly in that sort of all mountain to cross country territory. So overall, certainly for today's riding, the Jam SL certainly won out for me.
Me too.
And we'll see you back in the studio for a bit more info.
See ya.
The thing that really surprised me the most about this SL was the climbing. So to start with, we're both starting off in the lowest mode of assistance. Quite clearly, keeping side by side, there's no issues at all in the Fazua keeping up with the Bosch. And it feels pretty normal, to be fair. We're going to drop up now. I'm going to go into Tour Plus. Steve's going to go into Breeze. And then at that point, the Bosch starts to really want to pull away a little bit more. But to be fair to the Fazua, it is keeping up. We're side by side.
I'm not really putting any more effort in than I was, so it's the bike's going to
Yeah. So we're both continuing with a similar sort of cadence level. I'm going to go up now to emtb, and Steve's going to go up to Breeze, I think it's called, on the Fazua system. And they're pretty similar, but Steve's going to do a bit more work. And if I go up into Turbo and Steve presses and holds up, he goes into his hyperdrive mode, then we'll see where we are. Suddenly, the Bosch bike is pulling away quite significantly. and opening up quite a big gap now on the Fazua system. The SL kept up though, which is what really surprised me. Yes, you had to work for it, and you knew the motor was straining a bit more than the Bosch. The Bosch was just eating up those miles and that incline with no issues at all. If you're a rider that's quite fit and you're going out with someone who's got a full powered e-bike, then actually you can keep up. Yeah, I was really impressed with how well the SL did. In terms of battery usage, that was another surprise. So they both did the same amount of mileage, and they both did the same terrain, and they both did the same, were put under the same amount of strain. And at the end of the day, they both had a very similar amount of battery life left. So that was quite surprising. So that smaller motor with the smaller battery combined with a lighter weight bike has actually meant you've got a very similar amount of range between the two. So yeah, definitely interesting. Which one should you go for? If it were my money, I would definitely pick the SL. Definitely. But it fits me perfectly. A mid-range bike is definitely for me. I prefer the Jam SL. So that's it for today, folks. Steve and I really enjoyed ourselves out on the trail. They're two fantastic bikes that we're looking forward to riding again. Annoyingly, the Fazua rep has borrowed the Jam SL, so we have lost that for now, but we've still got the other one behind us, so we'll no doubt take that up on the trails over the weekend. But I digress. Just want to say thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the content, we'd be very grateful if you could like and subscribe. If we don't see you in store, we will see you in the next video. Cheers.
Personally, I prefer the Jam SL. I prefer a lightweight bike, particularly when I've got a full coat like I have right now and pretty heavy. When I'm shorn a little bit more and a bit lighter, then personally I prefer to switch over to the full fat and stretch my legs a little bit more.
What are you looking at?
There's a weirdo in the woods with a beard.